All right. We are live a few minutes early. How are you doing, Moongod?
Doing pretty good. It has been a busy couple of months here, but I feel like uh based on the conversation that we had was almost 3 months ago at this point in time. Kind of made a little bit of that adjustment that we were talking about, made some changes
Cool.
that we were kind of talking about. We got very lucky with ETH kind of moving back up into the range that we're happy with.
Yeah.
So it's been trading, doing very, very well.
Yep.
But
Yep.
all in all, I feel like we've really kind of started to head in the right direction, going
Yeah.
into 2025. Finished the year strong. It was great.
Heck yeah. Yeah. It's been fantastic. Seeing those like 3 or 4% weeks, those were really cool.
Yeah.
For
I think
sure.
I think one of the weeks in December was like 7% or something like that. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well, I'm
yeah, I
sure
think
like if ETH wants to jump back up to 4,000, I'm sure the bot's going to make some pretty sweet profits from that.
yep. Absolutely. Now those will be accounted for in January versus December still, even though they were opened in December.
Right.
But I think we finished the month of December at roughly 15%,
Dang.
give or take just a little bit.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Let's see if we can do the quick and dirty math here real
Mhm.
fast.
While he's doing that, hey, Sky Dreams, what's up, Neil? We started a few minutes early because it's the day after New Year's and it's on a Thursday instead of a Wednesday. So I don't even know how many people are going to watch this live. So, just get the recording out there and people can just watch it at their leisure. But Happy New Year, guys. Thank you for being here. How'd you guys, how was everybody's New Year's?
Ugh. So assuming that everything lined up the way that I'm expecting, we did 14.95% roughly on the NFT and
Dang.
just slightly less on the Ray Fund side of things due to the way that things balance out. Now I could be
Right.
wrong because the first post that Callie had actually started on the 3rd of December. So it's possible we hit 15, which would be awesome. That's a
Yeah.
very strong finish to the year. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
So
That is a sign of things to come.
very happy about that.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Everything's coming together beautifully.
Yeah, that would mean that the last 2 months of the year we finished above or right around 15%. So November I think was 17%,
Dang.
and then December was 15. So very
Sweet.
strong, very
Yeah.
strong.
That is fantastic.
Yep.
Um, so what's on the agenda? I don't have any questions prepared for this AMA. What are we going to be talking about?
So a couple things I definitely wanted to talk about. One,
Yeah.
I just wanted to remind everyone that we are moving into our data update as we go into quarter 1 on the on the RayFi side of things. So we're going to be adding additional chart information. We're going to be adding trading history. We're going to be adding. I'm not going to call. I hate to call it a calculator, but it's a payout predictor. I guess the best way that I can word that, based on the values that we update. Every single week. So as an example of such, if the bot returns um, $5,000 in the month, it'll start based on like the 50% payout plus however many NFTs you have. So like if you connect with your wallet and you look at the payout prediction section, it'll basically calculate based on how much has been returned so far, and that'll be rolling based on like the week to week, or depending on how much time it takes to implement that. It may just
Holy
be
cow.
updated at the end of the month, but we would like to have it updated every single week if we can. So
Wow.
all of that is coming as part of our data update. A couple other things that are just kind of like minor stuff is what I would say.
That's cool.
Or carryovers from other things. So you guys, I'm sure you're fairly familiar with the Ray Fund charts. We're going to basically be bringing the same thing to the NFT charts as well. Now that we have a year's worth of data, we can, provide that out there and let people kind of look at how everything was done, how much was earned, everything like that across the board. Callie's working on a huge update that we should be providing, I believe, from what he was telling me, this weekend, when we are also going to be doing the payout for December. It'll be done this weekend as well too. We're aiming for the 4th, so that'll be Saturday is our goal.
Cool.
So yeah, some big updates come to the DApp there. I know a lot of people have been asking for it. We are also planning on updating the system to have the trading log in there as well too. Right now, we're basically debating on whether or not we want to update the trading log on like a weekly basis, bi-weekly, monthly. We originally talked about having the trading log be updated with a few day delay. The problem that we're kind of seeing in some of the testing with that is it can get a little bit confusing looking at like the positions open versus positions closed when we're doing it on like a 3-day rolling delay. So it's a little bit easier for us to just update things in bulk on, just like either the weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly basis. So we're working on that there, but we'll keep you guys in the loop, and whatever kind of changes we end up making in that process, we'll let you guys know. But yeah, all of that is coming. We're going to be dropping basically all of the trades the bot did for the first year. I believe it's going to be in there. We're trying to figure out how we want to have that shown as like a historical process. And just everything across the board. So it's a lot of little things where people are like, oh, well, just easy, just slap in the trading information and everything like that. And cool, nobody's going to care. The problem that we run into with that is like, I think we finished with something like over 1,000 trades on the year on the NFT side. I mean, I could be wrong there. I haven't actually done the math on it, but if memory serves, on a week-to-week basis, it's about 10 to 20 trades. So it could be anywhere from about 500 to about 1,000 trades that we'd have to drop both the open and the closing position associated with it as well too. So it's just a lot of data we're working through to try and figure out a good way to present it. But we do know, and we are well aware that people are curious about it. So I just wanted to kind of quick rundown all that, get that kind of out of the way. We are still working on a couple of other things on the, the back end, just to kind of update some stuff to make it a little bit cleaner, not just associated to the trading, but to the chart as well too. So that way, if you're looking at like specific dates within the chart, it'll also update like the trading log to show the same trades as well. So like if you're looking at 6 months, it's not going to inundate you with a full year's worth of trades. You'll just see 6 months worth of trades, so on and so forth, all the way through. So yeah,
cool.
A couple little fun data updates we're doing in there.
And
that's just a few of the things we're looking at.
Very cool. I know people are going to love checking how much their NFT has gained them.
Correct. And we're going to have the same thing on the Ray Fund side of things as well too.
Oh, wow.
So, that'll also have the bot updates built into there as well. And then that'll also have, the LP farms built in there as well. So it'll give you, I believe we're looking at like payout per token and total payout as a whole. And that'll be updated as more funds are accrued. I believe we're doing that each week as well. So yeah, it's going to be a process where we're going to have a lot of, fun data for people to kind of look at. And again, it's not going to be predictive of like what we will do going forward. This is going to be a reflection of the rewards that we've generated. And we're presenting, hey, this is what your payout is so far. And we think adding not only that, but payout history as well. We're very excited to be bringing that in there also. And then obviously when the NFT side starts paying out, we're going to have the payout history on that side also. And we're hoping we can find a way to have that networked to the NFT itself, so that way it's tracked. And that can be used as a selling point if somebody does want to sell their NFT at some point in time down the road. You can be like, okay, well, look at the payout history of this one NFT. It was $300 the first payout. It was $1,500 the second payout. It was $5,000 the third payout. The fourth payout was, $18,000, so on and so forth, all the way up. That way, if you do end up deciding, oh, hey, I just, I want to sell one, I want to sell two, whatever it is, you can be like, hey, this is what I've been paid out so far. I think it's worth 5x that amount,
Yeah.
whatever. So all part of the process that we're looking to add in there.
Cool.
But yeah, very exciting. We're very
awesome.
happy to kind of be doing a lot of these updates. Now, not all of them are going to come out at the same time, is what I would say. Some of them are going to be kind of like works in progress, but we're looking to have one major data update and then a couple of minor ones to follow up on that as well, to kind of refine and tweak things based on, community feedback. So like if we do the big data update and you guys come back and you're like, hey, could we also add X? We can, take that to, our team, and we can go through that suggestion and then see about implementing it if it's something the community really wants. So yeah, it's going to be the one major one where we're doing everything that we think you guys want, and then we're going to get feedback from you guys. And then, if there's other stuff that we can add that isn't just going to be like, oh, one person asked for this kind of thing, then we will go ahead and, look at adding some of those other functions as well. But it's all going to be community driven. So yeah, just we're looking for a lot of feedback from you guys as we start to kind of roll some of that stuff out. So
very cool. Very cool. I don't know of any other like passive income project that's doing all that. That is pretty unique.
Yep. Well, I wanted to talk about some of the data stuff. I wanted to kind of answer any questions if the community had it, but I also did want to talk about what you guys are doing over on the one token side of things. With the NFT you guys are doing. Did you guys sell out of those completely?
Yeah, they're sold out. We're sold out in 2.5 days.
That's crazy. I mean, yeah.
We have a pretty amazing community. What can I say?
Yep. No arguments for me on that side over there. So if you don't mind me asking, like, what's the time frame for the trading and things like that you guys are looking to do? Is that started already, or?
Well, there's the white paper is very brief. So to kind of expand on it, there isn't really a set time frame on things. Like whereas with the Prisma One NFTs, the time frame is January 1st, 2026 will be the first payment. January 1st, 2027 will be the second payment. There's nothing like that with these. It's more when we hit profit thresholds. That's what will determine when the payment distributions occur.
Okay.
So what's and this was all Lucky and Yanni came up with this, although it was Lucky. Like I mentioned it to him because he had come to me like at least half a dozen times in the past year saying we should do some kind of crowdfunding thing, like crowdfunding NFT. And each time I was like, no, that'll be too hard of a sell. I don't think that people are going to want it. And it was finally Surfer Mark in our community, in our Discord, that mentioned, he's like, hey, why don't you guys do some kind of crowdfunding? The community would be really supportive of it. And I was like, really? And I just told Lucky, hey, can you pitch me one of your ideas again? And literally within like 15 minutes, he had written up an entire proposal, and it was exactly what we did. I mean, like he just came up with it immediately, and that was pretty much what the white paper was. I just reworded it a little bit to be a little more easy to understand, but that's pretty much what we did. And it's just very simple. It's just it's Lucky using those funds to spot trade, and when the bull run has kind of gotten a little, when the bull run kind of passes, he's going to switch to leverage trading. But
Right.
at first, it's going to be just spot trading the bull run
Sure.
and just using his TA skills and Yanni's helping him as well. And they've so far all the money is just in positions right now, and they're just watching them. And so the
Okay.
first threshold is going to be when we raised $40,000. It was about 45,000. When we turn that 45,000 into 150,000, we are going to reimburse everybody who bought an NFT. And then
Right.
with the remaining funds, which will be a little over 100,000, it'll be like 105,000. That will go into the trading fund, which will be what Lucky and Yanni use to continue spot trading. And then whenever that 100,000 makes $1 million profit, there will be a distribution of profit to the NFTs. And each time there's $1 million profit will be when there's a distribution. So we don't really know when that'll happen. We're just hoping for the best.
Oh, I meant more along the lines of, have you guys already started trading? So it sounds like you have, like you've started to
Yes.
open up some of those positions already.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. As soon as the money was coming in, Lucky and Yanni were placing it.
Okay.
So yeah,
Nice.
we've since we sold out. I mean, it's all been placed. I think there might be a little bit in BNB just because they expect BNB to pump a little bit, but
Right.
it's amazing how I don't know, just I don't want to give away like all the things that they're invested in. Lucky can tell the community if he wants to, but yeah, they're constantly looking at stuff and analyzing their positions and stuff. It's crazy how hard they work at it.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people think that it's just like, hey, set it and forget it kind of thing. But there's micromanagement on a
Yeah,
lot of that stuff that most people don't realize. So
yeah. It's really awesome the way that you guys do it because you guys are like it's you have a 100% win rate, and so people can feel comfortable with what the Prisma One NFTs are doing and with what you guys are doing for RayFi in general. And I think that
right,
that's so cool. And with these NFTs, they're called the one token shares NFTs. It's a little different because um, it's spot trading, so there isn't much risk. But there is always the potential that something could happen.
right,
But it's just a different sort of a different thing. It's not bot trading because they might start it, they're not going to do bot trading. It'll be leverage trading, but that'll come later on.
right.
So it's got some different aspects to it, but it's just I think both of these NFTs are really really cool.
Well, I do think that's one of the things that people forget is that with spot trading, you don't have to worry about any kind of leverage. There's no real risk of loss unless you sell.
Yeah,
So it's just one of those things where it's like in most instances and in most positions, even if you open up something and like let's say it back traces like 10%, cool. Just, hang on to it. Not a big deal. And at some point in time it's going to go back up and you'll be able to take profit at a later point. So
yeah, yep,
yeah,
yep, yeah, exactly.
yep.
Yep. And
So
and the thing is, like, it's you you're buying into these projects that you believe in, based on your research. So their conviction,
right,
plays. And Lucky has had just a a lot of very good predictions that I've seen him do over the past few years since I've known him.
right.
And so he's got very strong convictions. And so it's I don't know, it's just awesome listening to him and Yanni, go back and forth on what they're doing with the funds and whatnot. And
Yeah,
I can just say that they're working very hard at it.
yeah, and that makes sense. I mean, I know I've had to answer like 100 questions from them, throughout the entire process. So it's definitely something where
They're
we know.
intense for sure.
Yeah, we know that there's that awareness from them, I guess is the best
Yeah,
way to kind of word that, where
yeah,
they know what they're doing and it's just a facet of letting them do their thing. So
yeah,
yeah,
yep,
I
yep.
definitely agree.
Yep. It's just cool. Both of these NFTs are so cool. I think I'm really proud of what we've done with both of our projects here.
Yeah,
I think we've accomplished a hell of a lot in a short period of time. And I mean, with what you guys are doing, with this the data that the investors will be able to see on a regular basis. That's amazing to me. It's like, who else is doing that? That's like, I don't know.
Well, it's definitely part of again that change that we want to provide. That adjustment as a whole, to the crypto space, and that, I mean, that's
Yeah.
part of the reason why we're partnered with you guys, is that we wanted to get to the point where we're changing some of the processes within DeFi. I mean, I can't remember the amount of times that I've seen people be like, DeFi is dead. There's no good projects that are out there. The whole 9 yards that we hear with that. And
Yeah.
it's like, DeFi is really not dead. It takes the longest to have everything get to there, because the way DeFi kicks off is everyone gets into like the major blue chip craze, and then there's the meme tokens. And then once everyone's kind of done with the meme tokens, the major tokens, start to kick off again. And then from there, that's when we finally see, when everyone's made a ton of this profit, that's when we see everybody throw it into the degen projects, or the DeFi projects, and we really see things start to kind of kick off. And
Yeah.
historically, it's one of the things where it's like, the longer you are around in the DeFi space, the larger you end up generally becoming, or you kind of eventually end up moving into less of what would be considered like micro cap DeFi, and you start moving into a larger space.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it's interesting, the position that we're in, because we kind of want to stay under the radar. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting how that happens. Some things in DeFi do blow up after a while. Like Bonk, I think, was like 3 years old before it like finally took off.
Yeah.
But and then some things just fade away. But yeah, we'll see what happens. But we both of our projects have like very clear cut roadmaps, and like we're following them without any issues coming up along the way. And so it's just very cool. And that's why we have such a great community. Like they see what we're doing. Okay, there's a question here from Terry. Sorry, we've been avoiding this. Moongod, I'm wondering.
You were just talking about stuff.
Yeah. Moongod, I'm wondering, since the participation rate on the RayFi is low, would the team consider relaxing the buy tax so more people might get in? He means the token, RayFi token.
Yep. So as of right now, that isn't something that we're going to make a change to. Part of the reason for that is we are looking at a movement into IBC, the Cosmos SDK, and things like that. Beyond that as well, too, there's some things that we're kind of looking at and kind of testing, because one of the things that we've kind of looked at is, I've taken most of the one ecosystem tokens and dropped them into a like an IBC checker, is what I'll call it. Basically, it allows you to convert your token into a token that's IBC compatible, which is the Internet of Blockchains. That's basically what the Cosmos SDK runs on. So they wouldn't have to redeploy anything in terms of like, new stuff. They would just become IBC compatible, which means that when we open up the vaults on the Cosmos SDK, if we end up going that route, we could very easily just airdrop the tokens at a fraction of the cost, even though they're going to be on the Binance Smart Chain. So it'd be a situation where there's a couple of things that we're looking at there. Obviously, we don't want to have, the 1, 2, and 3 1, 2, 3, and 4 tokens go through and do that right away, because again, if we don't end up going that direction, there's no point in making that adjustment. But in the long run, that would be a point where if we do end up going that direction, we can revisit the buy tax side of things. But what I would say is, just in general, buy and sell taxes aren't usually too huge of a deal. As long as they're not over a certain percentage, they're generally looked at as okay during certain times of what I would consider the bull run. So again, just to bring that up, most people are hey, I don't understand why there's a buy and sell tax. I'm not going to buy a token right now that has a buy or a sell tax. Um, and most tokens in the position that we're in terms of cap size, aren't going to be purchased anyways. So that's not necessarily to say that we won't come around to removing the buy and the sell tax. We very well could. Because again, as of right now, we haven't done much with the RayFi tokens that we have. We're considering even just dropping those right into the emission wallet. We haven't sold them off because we want to kind of let the price stabilize a little bit more, have some consistency, things like that. So for now, we're just kind of holding those tokens. But it is a situation where if we just deem, hey, there's no real point in us, perpetuating the buy or the sell tax, then yeah, we could just turn it off. In fact, we could, if memory serves, I think we could just turn it off tomorrow if we wanted to. But yeah, it's something that we're going to revisit when we look at it, whether or not we're going to move to the Cosmos SDK. If we do that, obviously we're going to still work with, the one ecosystem. We'd look to see if we can get those adjusted, like I said, to an IBC contract. It wouldn't have to be like redeployed as far as I'm aware from what I've looked into so far, which basically just means that we can have 1, 2, 3, and 4 token easily purchasable via our vaults without any kind of issue. And then we can have all the tokens in there, would be the theory and the logic. So yeah, it's just a process we're kind of going through. It's one step after the other. But as for the buy tax, for right now, we're not going to turn it off. Again, if somebody does get into RayFi and they want more RayFi without the buy tax, you can stake your RayFi in the RayFi auto reinvestment vault, and you don't pay a buy tax there. So you would get RayFi every single month, no buy tax required, and that way, you can just continue to accrue your RayFi. I mean, that's what I've been doing on my side over here. My goal is to have anywhere from about 3% to 5% of, the entire value. I think I'm at like 1.5 or 1.6% so far, just from, my initial vested tokens. And then I've just had those sit in the RayFi auto reinvest vault. And then I threw another couple $100 in there as well too. So yeah, that's kind of about where I'm at on my side. So just in case anyone was curious, I mean, that's what I've been doing. Again, the buy tax is fairly nominal. We're at a point in time, just to kind of reiterate, where most tokens of our size and on the chains that we're on aren't going to be touched for a little bit. Even if we were to completely remove the buy and sell taxes. And again, I have no issue with relooking at that when we kind of get into the position where we're considering moving to, the Cosmos SDK. We may, remove the buy and sell tax as we move into that. As of right now, it's something that we have in there, but it doesn't mean that it's going to be a permanent thing going forward. So that's always been the plan, is that eventually that tax will just be turned off as a whole anyways. Where that kind of happens is, kind of, for lack of better terms, up to how things turn out with, within the next few months here. So,
Yep. It's just a time thing. I mean,
Yep.
people, the more time passes, the more things you guys develop, the more people will learn about what you guys are doing. It's like with us. We don't have very much volume on our tokens, but in time that will change.
Well, one of the big things and this is one of the things that I've noticed as I've kind of ventured into other projects, ecosystems, and things like that is, we're very lucky to partner with the one team. We actually took a fairly large hit in the community when we did have our first exploit, unfortunately. And then from there, the other problem that we had with it as well too is that, of course, he who must not be named came out and started throwing a lot of shit, saying that we were just rugging the entire project and we were stealing the money from our community and everything across the board there. So that also didn't help us as well too. So we had to kind of, not say, but show what we were doing. And that very much so, unfortunately, set us back like well over a year, is what I would say. Because we had a lot of hype going into this. There was a lot of people that were very excited with it. We, raised quite a bit and everything as well too. And then we also had a lot of really good months following, the initial launch. So it was very much so a situation where going into that, we could have done some pretty solid payouts. And then we had the Prisma One NFTs that launched as well too. And there was a lot of tentativeness around that. For the simple fact that, we had our original exploit. And so just the time unfortunately took a lot longer than we would have liked. We'd be, I think, in a much better position right now if we hadn't had that exploit, obviously, but there were a lot of other factors that tied into it as well. And we were very fortunate that we had the one team, Oliver, Yanni, and Lucky. And then of course, Cyril kind of helped us out a little bit as well too, with checking some of our stuff. We went through like multiple re-audits with other people as well. And it was a long process that we had to go through.
Yeah.
So it was very time consuming is what I'll say. And again, I'm not pointing the finger at anybody else in that aspect. It was a mistake on our part, but there were some other, factors as well too, that just were unfriendly to us in the given situation. But once we got ourselves back on our feet like we did, and the one team never doubted us for a moment. They were immediately there to help us, provide insight, advice, anything that they could do. They stuck with us with the Prisma One NFTs. They could have canceled that line and just been like, all right, well, you guys clearly had an issue with the project, bye. And they didn't do that. And, I think proof is in what we were able to accomplish so far in this past year after relaunching. I think it's very much so an instance where a lot of other people, wouldn't be necessarily in the same position that we're in. And it took us a lot to get there, but we got there, and I think the community is stronger for it. But it's going to be a little bit of a tough, climb up the hill the rest of the way. We're basically, for lack of better terms, on an endless Everest here. Where it's like, yeah, we may reach a small plateau, but we still have an infinite amount of plateaus ahead of us after super hard climbs as well. And I think we're kind of at that point right now where there's a little bit of a lull, and that's okay. We're looking at what we can do to make, on-chain processes a lot easier, not only for us, but for everybody else. The awesome part about this as well too is, the Cosmos SDK is both, compatible with Trust Wallet and, MetaMask, the two mainly used wallets that are out there. Of course, it's compatible with like Ledger and things like that as well. Kepler, all of that. But it's a situation where as we kind of move into these new processes, it gives us a much larger advantage going forward. It makes processes for us drastically cheaper as well too. It makes farming on multiple chains drastically cheaper for us as well, where we're not just kind of like stuck to one chain. So like if we want to be on Arbitrum and then we want to come back to our own, personal quote unquote blockchain, we can easily do that. It's not a difficult process in any way, shape, or form. We're still looking at having, our own DEX as well too, which means if 1, 2, 3, and 4 token end up going with the IBC compatible upgrade, that means we could also house them on our DEX as well too as a second LP. And that'd be something we could look into, which means that there could be some arbitrage, like actual arbitrage opportunities. So like if you wanted to go between one and the other, or we could just layer the liquidity from, Pancake Swap onto our own personal DEX. And that way, it'd just be set up in both places using the same liquidity. So really cool stuff that we're looking at being able to do. And that way, if, you end up getting your payout in say like USDT or USDC, whatever it ends up being, on our own personal quote unquote RayFi blockchain, you could still easily just, hey, I'm in the vault, or I want to take my USDC and I want to just buy, one token or 3 token or 4 token, whatever it might be. You could do that as well. So a lot of cool things that we're looking on getting set up in the process there. And a lot of cool things that we're looking to be able to do. Even like I said, with the one team, and it wouldn't be something where they'd have to do anything crazy on their side. It would just be like, oh, enter in your contract here. Boom, upgrade it. So,
Okay.
yeah. So,
cool.
Fun stuff we've been investigating and looking into. By the way, surprise, Oliver, we've been looking into that for you.
But sounds good.
Yeah,
we're looking forward to all that, and I know everyone is excited about you guys looking into like Solana and what Bitcoin. Were those
correct.
the other two you were thinking of trading?
Yep, those are the two that we're looking at. Solana's been fairly consistent. We're also talking, about looking at XRP as well. Both Lucky and Yanni have kind of been like chirping in my ear about XRP. The biggest thing about that one, more than anything else, is we would like to see a little bit more stabilization. And we want to see what's going to happen with it and do some back tests around the initial dropping of the SEC charges, which I think was from June or July of 2024. And then potentially the rest of the charges against XRP is going to be dropped within, I believe they're talking about potentially January of 2025 here. Either it should be like, I think Lucky posted saying something like the 16th or the 17th or something like that.
Yeah, it's either the 15th or the 21st or something like that. And
exactly.
Going to coincide with, it might coincide with Trump getting in office.
Right. Yeah. Where the SEC might drop the charges then. So probably by like the 21st or something like that.
Yeah.
And for that, we just kind of want to see what happens. We want to do the back testing on it. So that is a third one that we've kind of looked into, but the volatility on XRP has been massive.
Yeah. It's going to be
really
even bigger.
That's really been our big thing, is that we want something that's going to have volatility. We want something that's not going to have volatility that's going to risk funds, if that makes sense.
Right. Of
so
course.
Like, 3, 5, 7, 10% swings are great. What was it? 70% in like 3 minutes is what XRP did that one time. And it was just like, we would have beyond faced liquidation at that point in XRP. So it's one of the reasons why we just, as of right now, we're not looking at, that, but it's one of those that we're looking to add on top of the Solana side of things, which have been very consistent. And obviously, Bitcoin very consistent as well too. But we're kind of thinking if we can split the funds between Bitcoin, Solana, and ETH, that'll give us some advantages of, hey, Solana's doing some pumping, we're doing good there. Bitcoin doing some pumping, we're doing good there. ETH is a little bit down, so whatever, that nothing's happening there. But it kind of allows us to diversify out a little bit more. So yeah,
for sure.
BNB is also another one of those. I should say that as well. So both XRP and BNB are kind of like our call them like our tier 3s. But no, they're kind of like the backup options that we're looking into. So obviously we're going to continue trading ETH. We're looking at Bitcoin and Solana mainly, and then the next two after that we're considering looking at are XRP and BNB. So
awesome.
Yep.
All fine choices.
Yes. Yep.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, just a process. A lot coming in 2025 is what I'll say. Not all of it is going to be in Q1. We're really focusing on, learning the other, chain, our data update, everything, associated to that. And then probably Q2, Q3 is when I would say that we would likely, if we're feeling confident with it, we would start testing is what I'm going to say, would start testing a small amount of funds in a different token, either like Bitcoin or Solana. So that's not going to be like, oh, we're going to immediately split it in half and go from there. No, this would be like we'd pull like $1,000 from the Ray Fund and like $5,000 from the Prisma One NFTs, and we'd test it like that.
Right.
Just as like hey, this is how it would work. So
Yeah.
that way we're not in a position where we're putting like the whole portfolio at risk or anything like that. We would have it totally isolated out. So like if something goes wrong or something outside of expectations happens, it like let's say, oh no, Bitcoin does something insane and it gets liquidated. It's not going to hit the rest of the funds. It would just be like a small amount there. And that's part of that testing process, is that we have to very carefully put things aside to ensure that like when we actually go to live trading, we aren't going to put any other assets or any other funds at risk. And that's
Right.
basically the concept. So
Right. Yeah.
it's going to be a thing.
Yep. Absolutely. A lot of back testing and
Yep.
a lot goes into it for sure.
And I think that's one of the things that most people don't realize, and not to say that they're not aware of the situation. It's just there's like 3 stages in this at a bare minimum. There's back testing, which takes a long time in general because that's what you build your bot off of. And then there's live testing, where you refine the bot to really kind of like narrow down its hits and misses, so to speak. And then there's fully like deployed live and trading. So we're still in the back testing phase. And that's basically what Callie's been doing nonstop, is just pinging, and just, testing. So, yeah, we're like in phase 1 of that, but I would say that the earliest we could see deployment of that would probably be like the end of Q2 into the like quote unquote live testing phase. And then maybe full deployment would be in like Q3 if we're happy with the results. So, yep.
Sounds very reasonable.
We try to be reasonable where we can. So,
very cool.
Trying to be as reasonable as we possibly can given the situation, but I really think there's a lot of positives that we're going to have coming forward here as well too. 2025 is going to be a big year for both teams. I really think that you guys are going to hit that 150 mark faster than you ever expected.
Amen, brother.
I think we're gonna see some really good returns coming into 2025 for both. The one ecosystem, the RayFi token, in terms of the Ray Fund, and then obviously the Prisma One NFTs, and then the what is it? Are they called one share NFTs? Is that what it is?
I don't know. We're kind of split on that. I've just been calling them the one token shares NFTs.
Okay. Yeah. So the one token share NFT, that is a mouthful.
It is. But
yeah, I mean, I think we've got a lot kind of heading our direction here. We just have to, I think one of the big things for us on the RayFi side, and we've realized this, and this is part of our ongoing review of our ecosystem, is that we need to find a better home, one that's easier to on-ramp to. Because right now the biggest trouble that we're facing is a lot of the bridges that were in the process of being set up. And I talked about this in, I think, like October or September when we were doing, I think I talked about it in October when we were doing our September review. And we were like, hey, what's the goal for the next 3 months of the year kind of thing. But basically the process that we've run into is a lot of the bridges that we're getting set up to be able to bridge from, like, say, Arbitrum or, like the Ethereum chain or Avalanche or other token ecosystems to Binance's layer 2 fell through after we had already deployed the token. So it was a situation where basically the option we had was move to a different, ecosystem, or just kind of sit on it for a little bit, see if these actually stay gone, and then kind of make a decision on redeployment. So that's one of the things that we're doing at this point in time. One of the reasons why we're considering the Cosmos SDK and having our own quote unquote layer, I think it'd be like a layer 1 blockchain basically, is that it gives us a lot more control over what we want to kind of do. End goals, the direction for like tokens that we can have, set up, and, IBC compatible tokens as well too. So it makes us easier for, deployment of like, hey, we want to be able to provide this IBC compatible token on AVAX, a vault. Easy. Done. We want to be able to provide this IBC compatible token on BSC, a vault. Easy. Done. Same thing with like Ethereum and everything like that. So it makes the process extremely, extremely, extremely simple for us. And it doesn't kind of isolate us out where some of the other ones would do. Now, what I will say, and Terry's just brought this up, Base has low fees. Yes. There are other, what I'll call like layer 1, layer 2 blockchains that do have low fees. Base, Arbitrum, Polygon, a couple of other ones that are out there as well too. And again, that's not knocking them in any way, shape, or form. Those are options where we could easily just, close down the liquidity here, start up on one of those chains, redeploy, and, deploy out the liquidity as well too. But again, we still kind of run into the same issue that we're kind of having with OPBNB in that instance, is that a lot of the bridging that we kind of have to do does cost an arm, leg, and a kidney, or has like minimum requirements. The positive with the Cosmos SDK, the IBC side of things, is that we don't have to deal with a lot of those requirements. A lot of things are just built in, where it's like, hey, our process allows us to go from, the quote unquote RayFi blockchain to Osmosis to AVAX to Base to Arbitrum to Binance Smart Chain to, whatever other chain you can come up with, kind of thing. And so there's a lot of just positives to it as well. But that doesn't mean that other like layer 1, layer 2s are being ignored. So yes, to kind of piggyback off what Terry said, Base has low fees. It does. It's one of the ones we've looked at as well. But they actually hadn't launched when we launched our token, if memory serves. I think they launched slightly after us, which is fine. They're a good chain. I haven't heard anything bad about them. They're a little more centralized, which can be a little scary sometimes, but it is what it is. So
I don't know. It doesn't, for some reason, it doesn't sit well with me that they're associated with Coinbase, even though Coinbase is fine. I have no problem with them, but I'm like,
well, I mean, the only issue that I could see with Base as a blockchain is the same issue that Binance had as a blockchain. Because they're an ecosystem associated to given, tax implication, tax rules, everything like that.
right.
There's no telling what because they're a publicly traded company, if memory serves. I don't think I'm crazy for saying that. So one of the biggest issues that they, in theory, could face is that somebody could file a lawsuit against like Coinbase itself, or the government could, requiring that they show or track the given records of everything on the blockchain and have all these crazy asinine requirements that basically could just harm the chain. Now, in theory, that could be the same for any chain that's out there that's somewhat centralized in the first place. But it's just, I feel like there's a slightly higher risk because they're directly associated to a company that's traded, on the open market. Like there's like public fiduciary responsibilities that they have to kind of meet. So I'd be curious to see how much of that, crosses over with the blockchain. But I'll be honest, that is like, we're like 12 layers deep there. You know what I mean? So it's not even like, that's not even like a surface level issue is what I would consider it,
Yeah.
That's like so many things would have to happen in a row in order for the Base blockchain itself to be affected. I know we're kind of getting a little deep with it there, but like we'd have to, like that had to be, Coinbase does something fiduciarily, that's not even a word, but I'm going to make it one right now. Fiduciarily irresponsible, would have to be sued for it, the government would then have to intervene because it's a publicly traded company on the New York Stock Exchange. And then from there, they'd have to file sanctions against Base. They'd have to be found guilty of those given sanctions. And then the blockchain would have to be affected by that as well, too. And the only way that could really be affected by it would be like on the validator side of things. They'd have to implement and get approval technically from the validators. If the validators don't approve it, either the blockchain, just becomes its own separate entity, or Coinbase forces it, and then people bail on Base anyways. So
yeah,
it just, I don't know.
All of that will all of that will happen in the bear market. Just watch.
Yeah. Well,
then the price of Base will be like as cheap as Solana was the last bear market, and if
Gary Gensler gets back into the SEC, then I could see us having a problem with Base. But all joking aside, I think there are a lot of really, really good blockchains that are out there that don't really have a high cost, that have good bridging capacity. OPBNB was supposed to have a lot of that as well too. Unfortunately, a lot of the bridges that we were hoping for and were expecting to be set up got canceled. Rubik, I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's a cross-chain exchange, was going to be adding OPBNB, which meant that we could actually trade tokens on OPBNB with BSC, like snap of the finger, which means, and we were expecting that, which is why we were expecting the vaults for 1, 3, and 4 without any kind of problem. Because with Rubik Exchange, you can just implement the token and just say, I want to buy this token from, Polygon to BSC. Easy peasy. And they pulled out of OPBNB. I don't know why, but they did. I reached out to their customer service and they said, hey, we don't have any details at this moment, but please keep an eye out, and so on and so forth. So,
yeah.
The one blockchain I think will outperform the bull run is Sui. Yeah, I haven't heard anything bad about them. If memory serves, I think they're also part of the Cosmos SDK and IBC. I don't remember 100%, but I'm like 95% sure they're a part of that setup as well. So I really think that that's going to be one of the biggest adjustments that most people are going to have to kind of take a look at. I think the transition to a lot of projects and ecosystems starting to use Axelar is huge as well. So I'm sure you've probably seen this with other tokens that are out there. So like USDC, a great example of that is they're moving away from just the USDC token to the AXL USDC. And the reason for that is Axelar is partnered with USDC to provide a better version of USDC that's a part of IBC. So you can effectively trade Axelar USDC to any other chain without having to go through a ton of bridges and stuff like that. It's just treated as like the same bridge, or it's treated as the same chain. So it's great. And if memory serves, like I said, I think Sui is part of that as well too. And they look to be really, really strong going into this. If memory serves, I think Cosmos is the largest one, obviously, on the Cosmos SDK. I think Osmosis is the second largest, and I think Sui is the third largest at this point in time. I might be wrong, but I'm like 60% sure on that one. Don't hold me to it. Somebody will probably correct me, but yeah. I think there's a lot of good stuff that's coming out. I think 2025 is going to be a huge year for crypto. I think, Trump coming in 18 days and, basically being like, hey, we're going to kind of ease back on some of these crypto regulations. I think that'd be great. I think it's overdue.
Oh, yeah. And with Elon Musk in his, cabinet, it's going to be off the chains.
I mean, I still think they should do something like a 10 or a 15% tax on just like a flat tax, on crypto. And
well, I don't know how they're going to do it. Hopefully they do something simple like that. But I think Trump was saying, or he's hinting that like cryptos that are based in America will have no tax associated with them, which I don't know how that would work, because then people could just go right through that crypto when they want to sell and not have to pay taxes. Like if they made profits on another crypto, just swap for that one before they sell. I don't know. So
yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible that that's what would happen. But I think it's one of those things that if you have crypto, but then you're converting it to fiat, you still have to pay taxes on the fiat. But what basically the biggest issue that people have had with the government is they're double dipping is pretty much what's been going on. So they've been taxing people on the crypto, then taxing people when they convert the crypto to fiat. And so that's been the biggest issue that most people have faced, is that they're being hit twice. So like if they're in the United States and the token is based in the United States and they're not charging taxes on the given tokens that are located within the United States, that's awesome, because even if you convert it to fiat, well, you'd have to pay taxes on the fiat anyways. And I'm fine with that. Cool, pay taxes on fiat. There's nothing wrong with that. But the problem for me was like when they were charging, 10 or 15% or whatever tax for like income or capital gains, but then they're also hitting your crypto with like 15% capital gains as well, or whatever it was. It was some crazy amount. So it was like really, in effect, you ended up paying some, exorbitant fees for no reason. I think it was like you ended up paying like 27% fees. It was crazy. So
good Lord, I didn't realize that. But
yeah, I mean that's how the process used to be. They've kind of like eased back on it to a certain extent, but yeah, it was like notorious U.S. government double dipping in things, like in the most disgusting way possible. So yeah, here's to hoping they just do away with any kind of taxes on tokens in the U.S. I think it'll also drive a lot more projects to come about within the United States. And I think clearly there needs to be some form of like what I would say regulation for, preventing like rug pulls and stuff like that. To me, that's one of the biggest issues that we have to kind of face. And I think there has to be a good way to figure it out, because there's one of two options. If we're looking for mass adoption, there has to be some guardrails. It sucks to say that, but there have to be some guardrails that protect the everyday user. And if we aren't caring about mass adoption, then screw it. We're the wild, wild west. Whatever happens, happens. And I think, as weird as it's going to sound to say this, I think heading into the direction where there's laws on the books for how to prosecute a project that maliciously does some shisty stuff, like unfortunately what we had happen to us wasn't shady in any way, shape, or form from the team. And we worked diligently to recover and do everything that we could within the situation that we were in. But like we as a project didn't benefit from anything for like months, like almost a year. It was absolutely brutal. But it was a situation where like we did what we had to do. But then there are other instances like, again, he who must not be named, who walked away with like tens of millions of dollars of people's money. And that, I mean, it is what it is. And people are just kind of like, all right, well, nothing's going to happen to him, and I think that's a problem within not just DeFi, but within, crypto as a whole. And I think there needs to be some guardrails around that where clearly there's prosecution, but at the same time, they really only ever go after the big guy. We've seen them go after like Do Kwon for his mistakes. We've seen them go after CZ from Binance. We've seen them go after what's his name from FTX. But it's like, it's the same issue that we have with like the white collar crimes, where it's whoever points the finger at the other person first is the first one to get the benefit of the doubt. And that's kind of what's happened in a lot of these situations.
Moongod, before we get another discussion started, let's wrap this up, because I actually got to go.
Oh no, you're good. Sorry, I got distracted. Just going on.
It's all good.
Yeah,
it's all good.
Cool.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for being here. 13 of you stuck until the very end. We appreciate you, and Moongod, thank you always
Yep.
for spending time with us, man.
Oh, I did want to ask really quick. Are you guys one last thing? Are you guys
Yep.
planning on opening up more rounds of the one token share NFTs, or doing like another round of those going forward as well? Or are you kind of in the same boat as us, where we want to kind of see how it goes and maybe
Yeah.
sometime in the future?
Well, I don't know. I don't think we can mint anymore. I think that was all for this one. But
Okay,
obviously, Lucky is always throwing out ideas. So there might be, I don't know,
stuff in the
at another
future.
point in time in the future something else. But I think for this one that was it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, that was my
Yep.
last question for you.
All
I got
right.
distracted in there. Sorry, my
All
bad.
right. No worries. All right. Well, thanks, man. Thank you for answering our questions and for asking me questions too. And thank you everyone for being here.
Absolutely. Have a great day, man. Bye.
All right. Thanks. You too. See you. See you.